Yo, what's going on, Joe Ghost here, and today we're going to comparison video between the Bruen and Kilo. Now, I wanted to make this video because if you guys have noticed, ever since the ground nerf, a lot of weapons have started to come out the shadows, and there's been different conversations for the best weapon in Warzone pretty much ever since that nerf. Now, currently, the conversation lies between two weapons, that is being the Bruen and Kilo. Kilo was one of those weapons before the ground nerf that was slowly starting to come out, was very underrated, but then as soon as the ground got nerfed, this weapon skyrocketed and became considered, or is becoming considered, one of the best, if not the best AR currently in Warzone. And as for the Bruen, this weapon, before the nerf of the ground, was in my opinion one of the most underrated weapons, and I believe that this weapon was way better than the ground ever was, and now it is considered the best weapon as well, because streamers like Nick Merckx and Swag have given it a lot more attention recently, and this weapon right here has become the gun to use. And honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if the Bruen got nerfed within the next month if Infinity Ward knows what's good for Warzone, because this weapon right here is going to be, it's going to be quickly realized that this is going to be a worse meta than the ground one ever was. So if you thought we escaped the whole, people using the same weapon, you're wrong, because this Bruen is going to, in 1 or 2 weeks, you're going to see that this weapon is a lot worse than the growl ever was. And again, I wouldn't be surprised if it gets nerfed. Now, with that being said, if you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button, turn on post notifications, and if you find this video informative or useful, hit that like button. Anyways, let's get into the comparison. And here we have the recoil pattern for a base Bruen. Now, one of the things that makes this weapon very scary is how accurate it is. Over range, it pretty much feels like it doesn't move at all. It doesn't, even if it does have recoil, it's kind of hardly noticeable, especially when you put on your attachments with it. Now, one of the things that I've been told, or was told in my last Bruen video that I made, that the underbarrel was necessary, and I always said, like, it's not necessary at all. Like, if you take a look at streamers, no one uses an underbarrel, bro. You are wasting an attachment using an underbarrel. Put on the sight. And speaking of sights, I actually went through I went through 4 different sights and then making this video. So all these clips that you're gonna see have pretty much a different sight every time, because I was just testing to see like what sight was best for me. Now, there's 4 sights that I use, and I have no like say in which one's the best one, because everyone has their own personal preference. But let's just get into it. So I use the Corp Combat Hollow Sight, which you might be familiar with because people like Nick Merckx and Swag use it. The VOK, which has been the most used sight over the last, I don't know, like month. And then the Canton sight, which is an underrated sight that allows for less recoil, which it actually does. But one thing is that I found myself never switching to the other sight. Like, cause there's 2 options on sights. If you press like L3, you'll be able to switch to the other sight, and I don't use that other one, so it's kind of a waste of a sight, especially when the Cronin C480 Pro is the same sight in the Canted, and I actually like that sight the most out of the ones that I've used. Me personally though, that's the one I prefer. Obviously, like I just said, personal preference. You could use whatever sight that you want if you feel comfortable with it. I'm here to just give you suggestions on what you could use. Now, again, back to the whole underbarrel thing. You don't need a commando, you don't need a merc, you do not need a ranger. Like, if you don't want to use a sight, that's fine. But like, I'd recommend using a sight, because sometimes with that iron sight, it's kind of hard to see people at longer distances. So, I'd recommend the sight to you if I were using this weapon. Another thing is, this weapon isn't a base weapon in the game. You have to actually unlock it through a challenge. Currently, I guess at this point in Warzone, you have to unlock this weapon through a challenge, and that challenge is getting 3 kills in smoke in 15 different matches. Now, I've heard many things about this challenge. I've heard that it's easy, that it's hard, blah blah blah, but I'm here to tell you this: if you don't have multiplayer, it is not impossible to do it. I've been told, and it's actually, from how people did it, it doesn't seem completely like terrible. It just seems very annoying. So basically, if you don't have multiplayer, it's it's much harder to do in like something like Plunder or Warzone. But thankfully, I made that video, and a lot of people commented down below how they did it in things like Plunder and Warzone. So if you're having trouble doing it and you don't have multiplayer, but you want to unlock the Bruen, from what I've seen people have done, or from what I've been told, is if you down an enemy in Plunder, throw smoke on them and kill them. I don't know. I don't know how hard that is. Obviously, I had multiplayer, so this was an easy challenge for me. In Plunder and Warzone, it is a lot harder, but it's not impossible. You just have to go through a lot and be very annoyed to get this weapon. But in the end, if you do complete the challenge, it'll be very worth it. So now let's get into the recoil pattern for a base kilo. Now here we have the recoil pattern for a base kilo. Now I apologize for the lack of actual information of the Bruen in the last segment of the video. We're gonna highlight all the other things in this part though, so don't you worry. It just took a little longer. So the kilo obviously right now is widely considered the best, or if not one of the best ARs in Warzone, for great reason too. It has everything that you can imagine, or I guess everything that you could want on a gun for it to be a very good weapon. So it has damage, range, accuracy, great fire rate, and it has mobility. Now the Bruen pretty much has, as an LMG, has pretty much all those things except for mobility. But when you think about it, do you want your primary weapon to be fast or somewhat slow but very hard hitting? Now the Bruen, however, is like, it's not this slow weapon at all. Like, it's a slow weapon, but it's not like LMG slow. It's obviously a high, or especially when you put the 60 round mag on it, which is hands down one of the best attachments in the game currently. That 60 round mag for the Bruen is by far one of the best attachments in the game, because it makes that weapon so much better, man. Now, obviously you could run 100 on the Bruen, but I definitely would recommend 60, because that's all you really need is a 60 round mag. It's very, very good. But anyways, when you put that on, it pretty much makes that weapon a hybrid AR, and it makes it a lot more viable than like a PKM, which is, you know, you can put no stock on it, but it'd still be very slow. Anyways, the Bruen though is one of those weapons that is very unforgiving. If you get caught in the open with it, you're dead. You're dead. Bottom line, you're dead. If you're in the sky, if you're just gliding, you're dead. Like, the Bruen is one of those weapons that will just completely just destroy you if you're just caught lacking, pretty much. If you overpeak, that's your head. All your shield is gone. If you, like I said, like if you get caught in the window, you're done. You're going down. It's like, and especially if they get headshots, it's over for you. You're going down. Now, obviously, the Bruen feels like one of those weapons that, damage-wise, is completely better than the kilo, and I'm gonna have to agree with that. Like, I'm not disagreeing with the fact that the Bruen is a melter, and honestly, I think it melts a lot more than the kilo, but the kilo still has good damage on it. I think it has one of the best damages as an AR, and I guess that's what makes it a very good weapon. So that was kind of relevant to that. But I personally prefer this gun over the Bruen, and I don't know why. Honestly, I was using this weapon, like, I've tried using the Bruen, but I just find myself going back to the kilo. I don't know why. Because technically, damage-wise, the Bruen obviously is a lot better than the kilo, and it's a lot more unforgiving than the kilo is, but I just prefer it a lot more. And I can't really give you an exact reason why, but I just really, really like this weapon a lot more. And I just find myself being more comfortable with it. I know I said the same thing like the last 30 seconds, and I apologize for that. But the Bruen is one of those weapons that I feel like could be hit or miss for some people, because some people might find, actually no, that's a lie. That's actually a lie. I feel like for the most part, anyone can be good with this weapon, because again, the damage is so unforgiving. You could, if you have bad aim, it doesn't even matter, because if you hit a few shots, that person's going down. And that's what makes this weapon very scary, because it caters to a lot of people who, no offense to some of you, but you guys are bots, you know? And you know what I'm saying? Like, some of y'all need help to get kills in Warzone. This weapon right here is literally this thing helps noobs, or just bad players. And I'm not trying to offend anyone watching the video, but I'm just saying, some of y'all are those players, okay? And some of y'all need that help. And this weapon right here gives you that help. The kilo is a weapon that requires a little bit more skill. Like, I still think it's, you know, it's still pretty casual friendly, but it requires definitely a lot more skill than the Bruen does. And one of the things that I guess could kind of turn people away from getting this Bruen is the challenge that you have to do for it. But again, like I've been told that it's, you know, you could do it a lot more ways. It just some methods require a lot more work and it's a lot more annoying than other methods. Now, overall, I still think that the Bruen is probably the better weapon just because of the damage aspect and how unforgiving it is compared to a Kilo. The Kilo, though, don't get it twisted. I mean, come on, I love that gun right now. That's probably, aside from the M4, because the M4 will forever be my favorite weapon. Right now, currently though, the Kilo, it's my baby right now. Like, I'm having a lot of fun using it. I've been dropping crazy amount of kills in Stimulus, and yeah, that's just my verdict on it. Obviously, though, everyone has their own personal opinion. You might think the Bruen is by far one of the best weapons in the game, and that's, you know, no brainer right there. Or you might think the Kill is better. But if you do choose one over the other, let me know why in the comment section down below. But yeah, thanks for watching. See you guys later. Peace.